Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below.
Hi, I'm Dianne Wilson. Welcome to our brand new Sisterhood Leadership Podcast. We've been meeting as a sisterhood for over 10 years, and recently we were talking amongst ourselves as leaders on what we could do in this very different season and very different era in the life of our church. 10 years ago, most of the women in our sisterhood were either not married yet, no kids, or they had grown kids and time. So we were able to meet every Friday morning. Well, recently I was looking at how many people were able to come on a Friday morning and how many weren't. And it just seemed like crazy for us to not make some changes so that we could reach more women and help more women develop in their leadership. So we're excited about this new leadership podcast, including different leaders every single week. We're having a conversation. There's going to be questions asked and answered. And my heart is to make everything practical, because leadership has got to apply to our real life, not just in theory. And so thanks for joining us. And we really hope that you enjoy this month as we focus on, of course, our Bible, which we love. We call it the Bible Book Club. And Bible in a year is amazing. This is my 17th year around the block. And of course, this month we're focusing on one of my resources, It's Time, and this is a leadership book. So thanks again for being with us and hope you enjoy. Welcome to our weekly Sisterhood Leadership Podcast. I have a very good friend here with me today, Pastor Noemi Chavez. How was my accent?
It was beautiful.
Oh, good.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Noemi here is from Long Beach,
Yes.
7th Street Church, and her husband are amazing pastors, and she's like a little sister to me. So just by introduction, tell everyone how we met.
Yeah. So I started stalking Di a couple of years ago.
It was like 11 years ago, actually.
Yeah, it was quite some time ago. Actually, a mutual friend of ours told me, you've got to meet Dianne. She's an amazing woman. You need to connect. You're only a couple of cities over. Newport, Long Beach is not a couple of cities over. But it didn't matter. I knew that if this friend of mine was saying that I needed to meet you, I had to go ahead and make the effort. So I reached out and asked for lunch or coffee, and you said lunch. And you were so gracious to accept my invitation, and that was the beginning of a friendship and a mentorship and just a mutual love and respect that I am so grateful for.
And I love the fact that you were the first local pastor to actually reach out, because we didn't know anyone, and I'm actually quite shy. No one will believe that, but it's true. So for me to take the initiative, and also we were flat out building, and I don't even know if I had a new baby in my belly at the time, or I can't remember. That all happened at the same time. Plant a church and then have a surprise baby at 40.
Yeah.
Anyway, all I know is I loved getting to know you, and we always caught up periodically. So we've stayed in contact, watching your life grow. And then when our husbands got together and just as a family, and when we have barbecues and stuff, it's not just a professional or a ministry relationship, that we're actually really good friends.
Yes.
And I love you.
I love you too.
So what's interesting is we'll call each other, and because of our relationship and how long we've been doing life together, it could be about anything. So I remember the time when you sent me a text saying, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And you said, I just need to kind of FaceTime.
Yes.
And so it was to do with your kids.
Yes.
So just talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so we're pastors and we're raising kids, and Di is in both stages, right? Because she has a baby now that's about closer to my kids' age, and then she's got kids that are much older. And I thought, okay, your kids love you, love God, then I like you. So I need to ask you for advice about this. And so I reached out because, my older boy is a sweet young man, and he's going into the stage of, wanting to date. And so I was like, I have some real questions to ask about this. And you were so gracious to answer that and help me navigate that season of motherhood for, ministry, dating, mothering, all of that stuff, which is so important to keep our family in balance and to keep conversation open and healthy. And so it really did help quite a bit. One of the things you did say that I talked to my husband about, which he says, he repeats to me, he says, he reminds me that sometimes boys don't want all of their advice, the advice from mom. Oh. Sometimes they prefer dad's voice speaking into that. So he'd say, remember what Di said. And so,
well, here's the thing, you've got 2 boys.
Yes, that's it.
And
boys.
so I've birthed 2 boys, 2 girls, and you know, boys are dangerous, girls are drama. That's such a broad generalization. But anyway, sometimes boys can be dramatic too.
Yeah.
But I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, you poor thing. Oh, please don't worry about that, because I'm like 10 years on. And it was like you were really worried about like the dating thing. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, the transition between when a little boy wants his mummy, and I can really distinctly remember where my kids, so Ben, Bo, Bella, had 3 kids under 4, where they would fight to sit next to me anywhere, a restaurant, on a ride at Disneyland, just in bed, watching a movie, and I'd be like, oh, for goodness sake, I know you all love, but now I'm like, oh, boys, it would be really like weird if my boys did that now, because they're nearly 24. So Bella's still, yes, she's a cuddly one and definitely London, but the transition from when they were really close and tactile, and actually we had that relationship, to when they actually grow up and they're trying to find themselves and trying to work things out and make their own mistakes. And obviously they need to do that, but we don't want to say, you know, there's the fire, jump in the fire. Oh, well, you got burnt. You know, we want to say, hey, be careful. But I've got to tell you, it happened like that. There was no transition. I don't even recall it being like, oh, there's a season where they're really close and they're kind of, it's for just sure. Like, it felt like overnight.
But you're so good, Di, because like the thing is that you're like the definition of mom. There's a picture of you in the dictionary.
Oh,
and you're like
whatever,
Di, mom. But you're definitely
my kids aren't here to verify that, but that's lovely.
But it is, because whenever I hear you talk about, you know, so then for people like me who I love to be a mom, but I'm not as awesome at it as you are at times, I think. So I look up to the fact that, okay, there's some intentionality. And even in that, like, there's a mentorship, right? So for me, it was about reaching out for counsel. You know, the scripture says that wisdom is found in the counsel of many. And too many times when you're in leadership, you might feel like, I'm supposed to have it all together. I'm supposed to have all the answers. And I am the first one to admit I don't have all the answers. So I reach out regularly to people that I respect, right? Who have already been through this season and who are willing to give me some feedback on how I can do this better.
Well, let me just say this. Fruit is everything, and your kids are awesome. I think the only way I could even think about like receiving that compliment from you is my kids are awesome. So I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but I'm doing my best. That's all I know. So another part of motherhood that I think is really important is when mummy has a purpose. And so if my kids are my ministry, what happens when my kids leave, then I've got this big void in my heart, and they would just be like, Mum, get a life. So better off Mum has a life the whole time. And then that transition, when they don't need you as much, I can actually remember when on vacation, when Bella was able to swim, I'll never forget the day, and I didn't have to walk around the pool making sure she was okay. I could actually sit there and read a book. I'm like, it was kind of cool but sad at the same time. It's like, oh, wow, I'm actually free. So when it comes to purpose, you're like my purpose sister. Okay, so the words Wonder Woman in the dictionary, open them up and they say, Noemi. I'm telling you, because what you've done with Brave, I want to just talk a little bit about that. Because that's like, talk about iron sharpening iron. So we've got a mutual love and passion for our community, and the fact that there are kids and teens at risk and high need, and somewhat in a too hard basket, and we're just not going to give up.
Right.
You know, I was speaking with a senior social worker for Orange County Children and Family Services this morning, and there's a particular kid, and it's like, it's a lot of work trying to find a home for this child, because she's been so traumatized. And I said, we will crack the code. And so can you just share a little bit about how Brave started, that inspirational moment that you've shared about
Absolutely.
At Imagine? And just tell us what it is, because we're really like cheering you on.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was about 5 years ago. I was grateful that you invited me to Imagine and to bring some of the girls from my church. So I selected some of my leaders, and I said, hey, we get to go on a field trip together. And we get to go to Imagine and just receive. And it's one of the best things you could do as a leader is take your team to a place where they don't have to do all the work and just enjoy and receive. And
Imagine is our women's conference,
yes.
In case you didn't know what Imagine was.
Yes. So in case you were imagining. So it's an incredible conference. I feel like it's such a inviting space. And I brought the girls with me. One of the girls on our team was, it works for the city of Long Beach. And so the conversation started when we started to learn about Mirror Girl and what you guys are doing for just girls in general. And she had just been to another conference where she learned that about 80% of girls that are being trafficked in our cities were at one point in foster care, on probation. So in other words, they were on somebody's caseload. Some of these files for probation and social care, which is foster care, they overlap each other. So out of that conversation after the conference, we went out and one of the girls, this particular gal said, what if we do a conference for girls that are at risk, that are in foster care, that are probation? What if we present them with stories and examples of women who have gone through similar situations but have triumphed, and they could even share how faith intersected their path. And so we started this conversation, and we decided, why not have Di be the speaker for the first one, since we got inspired at Imagine, and you were the speaker for our first Brave conference, which was not called Brave at the time. We actually called it Mirror Girl because we named it after the book that we were going to give to all the girls. And foster care and probation literally brought almost 200 girls to our conference.
So, yeah.
We did it just thinking, we have no idea how many are going to show up. We'll prepare for the capacity of our building, which is about 400. And so we thought, and so when almost 200 girls showed up, it's been now 4 years. We've had 4 conferences, and then we had an extra one at one point. So we've had a total of 5 conferences. But every time, the conference has grown by at least 100, if not more.
Yeah, and that's phenomenal.
Yes, and it's exciting because now there are churches throughout the country who have heard about it, and this is where Brave Global came out. So we are now officially Brave Global.
Good.
And we're training churches around the country to start the conversation or further engage the conversation with girls that are at risk, because we feel that this could really change and shift the trajectory of the story of girls that are in the system. And if we could see these numbers change in the number of women that are being trafficked and are being arrested for being trafficking or prostitution, if we could see those numbers shift in the next week, we believe that that's possible.
Totally possible.
For some people, it might seem like, oh my gosh, their dream is too big. Well, our God is big.
Yeah.
So if we could see girls hear stories, and we get the testimonies.
Yep.
We get them now from probation officers, from group homes. We get them from foster care, and they say their attitude towards their education has changed since the conference. Their attitude towards relationship with people in authority has changed. They're inspired for their education. They're looking forward to the future. And so it's just a small beginning step for the body of Christ, for the church. We believe that there is so much more to come where we could deepen those roots in relationship with the girls.
And the concept of church and state is so real for us, and favor.
Yes.
One thing the government doesn't have is doesn't have the infrastructure and the support that the church brings.
Yes.
And so we were appointed as a faith partner to Orange County Children and Family Services some years ago, and the amount of opportunity that we have is more than we can handle. And so I love the thought of how Simon Peter, they were fishing all night, caught nothing. I was reading that this week in. Let me tell you exactly where it is, because it's really good for you to know. It's in the it's in Luke. Okay, so Luke, say chapter 5, read it. It's awesome. And what happened was they were cleaning the nets. They were discouraged. They didn't catch anything. And Jesus says, "Get back in the boat." And sometimes when we're out doing our thing and we get discouraged, we pack up.
Yeah.
But you know what? Purpose makes you get back in the boat. So Jesus is literally saying to us, "Get back in the boat." What happens? Goes out, catches so many fish, couldn't even hold them all, calls to a partner. And that's what I'm like, okay, I felt like that was a word that we call to each other, because we've got this partnership which is highly territorial for Jesus.
Yes.
And that even Karen, who, I did speak at the first one for about 5 minutes, and then I handed it over to the real pro, Karen the Brave, who I'm yet to do one of these podcasts with, but she's phenomenal.
She really is.
And she engages with the kids, and the fact that she has continued to be with you and Brave and helping to MC and communicate because she's got that gift.
Yes.
I'm like all for it. Like, what do we have
Yes.
at Newport Sisterhood that the 7th Street or the Brave team need at any point? And you're the same. I mean,
Absolutely.
last year for our Imagine conference, you came, your girls came and helped serve our kids program so that our kids ministry team could actually.
Yes.
I love that, and it's not often. I mean, I've got a lot of dear ministry friends, and hi to all of you, mwah. But there is also that element of competition that's like, really, doesn't belong.
It doesn't.
And it's refreshing to actually have so many friends.
Yeah.
And you being like a really, really dear one. And I'm looking forward to introducing you to some more ministry friends who are real people.
Amen.
Are you real?
I am,
Yeah.
for the most part.
Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left. And I just thought it'd be really cool to talk about that night when you came over. Which night? You're like, which one?
Which one? I come over all the time.
No, okay, so he came over one night and Jonathan is taking Josh, your husband, on a tour of our garden. And, you know, my husband is from Spain, so he has like chilies and he has tomatoes and he has figs and olives and limes and lemons and passion fruit in our garden.
That's
and
awesome.
where's Jonathan? He's out in the garden. That's good. It's good for his soul. And Josh said, "Oh, ghost chilies.
Yeah.
Let's make salsa." And so he grabs Jonathan. I mean, we're at our house. Goes down the store, gets all the other ingredients.
Yeah.
Can you just give us the recipe for that ridiculously good salsa? Because I've never had. I don't even like
what's
Mexican
funny?
food. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to say that. If that's offensive, please forgive me.
Oh, that
but
is so offensive.
It is very offensive.
It's okay. We're going to deal with that because it's a process. Your palate, it needs to be matured. It's okay,
It's
Di.
true.
We're all in a
Okay,
process.
help me.
So listen, here's what it is. It's simple. It's just
This
tomatoes.
is very important. Write this down.
Those ghost peppers, you want to boil those tomatoes.
How many? Like, help us.
You just need as much as you want. 5 Roma tomatoes. You maybe need at least 1 or 2 ghost peppers because those things are deadly. And if you can handle deadly, then you add as many as you like. And you put some salt and you add garlic and you can add. We usually add a little bit of cumin and oregano. All these little things just add flavor that pops. My husband never does the salsa the same way twice because he gets creative that way.
He was very creative.
So
you put Jonathan in the car. They
Yeah.
went to the store. I'm like, oh, this is fun.
yeah, and bring a bag of chips and we're good.
Okay, it's the first time I had hot salsa. That was actually like.
Yeah, because it was
Warm.
freshly made.
Warm
It wasn't canned or in
Okay, can I just tell you how naive I am? I didn't even know that there was such a thing as. I didn't even know you cooked it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like blended. I had no idea, but it was.
Oh my gosh, Di.
So who would like some of Pastor Noemi's salsa?
Well.
Everyone now. Okay, so we'll have to just do. We'll get you here for a Sisterhood Girls Night Out.
Yeah,
And you can make your salsa.
that'd be fun.
And that would be like this much. Mm-hmm. Yes.
A bucket of it at least.
Okay, so we've got a minute left.
Yes.
What is one thing that you know has been an important part of your leadership that you would say, if you could say one thing that is priority to you when
Yes.
you're leading at home or leading at church or leading in the
Yeah.
community, what is that one thing?
I think that my personality, because this is how I lead from a place of like too much drama or carrying on with drama is not something that is innate to me or that I appreciate. So I always tell the people I lead, like if there's drama or if there's conflict, like how much energy are you spending on that and how much of that energy it's taking from your creativity and your passion to build God's house. So I think I'm kind of like a no-nonsense kind of girl
Yes,
that
you
way.
are.
And I like for the people who lead around me to be that way. And, the Bible says that it is to one's glory to overlook an offense. And it's kind of like a staple for my lifestyle. Like I'd rather offer you grace and move forward and continue to build. And so, yeah, I think that when we are willing to overlook offenses with the people that we lead and amongst each other, they're able to reflect that and they learn that from you as well. And
I love too that women's ministry for us is different. So now in this season, this is part of it for me. And
Yes.
and with you, No More Women's Conference, you do Brave. Like everyone, we're going to serve the community. And
Yeah.
so there are really great, healthy women's ministries out there. If you're looking for one, they're not all the same,
yeah, no.
but there are some really great ones. And you are an amazing person,
Thank
and I
you,
love
friend.
you, little sister.
I love you.
Look at you with your blonde hair. Okay, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Sisterhood Leadership Podcast with Dianne Wilson, recorded live from Orange County, California. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the link below, diannewilson.com, and we'll see you next week.